Hi everyone, welcome back once again to this educational channel. In this video, we're going to discuss Malacca Paper 2 2021 Essay Question number 10 on Environmental Sustainability, a topic that is usually tested in the essay section, right? So this topic is found in chapter 10 of your Form 5 syllabus, and there's also a question related to mangrove trees, which is found in this topic is found in chapter 9, right? So let's get started. So before we begin to discuss the question, the essay question, just a reminder, okay, before you sit for an exam, that in the technique of answering structured and essay questions, when you are going to answer the question, always ask yourself, what are the right keywords that I can include in my answer, right? Okay, so keywords will help you to get the marks, because the examiner will have the list of keywords that they want to find in your answer in order to give you the marks, right? So if you write an answer based on your own words, okay, you just explain in your own way, but without keywords, that will cost you some marks, okay? I mean, you'll get less marks, all right? And that's why some students, although they think that they have written the right answer, but because there's lack of the right keywords that the examiner is looking for, then they don't get the marks. So keywords are the keys for you to obtain high marks, okay? And A+ students, they will recognize what keywords to use. They will be aware of what keywords to use in their answers, okay? So I had a student once who had who got very low marks for in the trial exam. Then when she asked me to check her essay for her, I told her that your essay has no keywords that the examiner wants to have to get in order for you to get your marks, right? So I asked her to focus on finding the keywords in all the notes and the textbook, and focus on those, and make sure that she includes it in the essay answers. So for SPM, she managed to obtain an A+. All right, she was very happy about that because in the trial exam, she only managed to get a C, around 60 marks like that, upon 100. But in the SPM, she managed to get an A+ because she began to focus on the keywords, okay? So ask yourself what are the right keywords to use. And when revising, always highlight the keywords in your notes. Be aware of the keywords, right? Now, a keyword, what is it? It can be a noun or a process. Process is also a noun, a verb or an adjective. For example, nouns, like lymphocytes, antibodies. Now, for example, if you ask what is the effect of a vaccine on a person, okay, after the vaccine is injected. Some students may write, a vaccine stimulates the white blood cells to produce antibodies. So do you think the white blood cell is the keyword here? No, because you have to be more specific. Now, so specific term for the type of white blood cell that produce the antibodies are lymphocytes. So you must mention that a vaccine stimulates the lymphocytes in the body to produce antibodies, okay, to destroy the antigens in the vaccines, okay, in the vaccine. Right, then we have pneumatophores, acid rain, antagonistic muscles. Now, even diseases like bronchitis, emphysema, diabetes mellitus, and so forth. We have to remember those diseases. And estrogen, the hormones, like estrogen, enzymes like pepsin, bile, sinoatrial node in the heart, and so forth. These are some examples of specific keywords that you may sometimes have to use when answering the questions, to write it in. Okay, so write in the right keywords in the right place. Now, for processes, right, sometimes you have to mention the name of the process in your answer if it's not mentioned in the question. For example, osmosis, diffusion, active transport, respiration. Now, respiration, this process or cellular respiration is one of the keywords that have been in many marking schemes for exams, okay? So if you find that you're talking about energy production, for example, glucose is oxidized to produce energy, okay? And you can mention through cellular respiration, right? And that may help you to obtain 1 point, okay? So this word cellular respiration, put it in where necessary and where it's appropriate. photosynthesis, transpiration, ultrafiltration in the kidney, osmoregulation in paramecium and amoeba, right? That helps the cells to excrete the excess water by using the contractile vacuole. Mitosis, meiosis. For example, meristematic tissues in the plant. What is their function? So they divide actively by mitosis to produce new cells for growth. So you just say divide actively to produce new cells for growth. You miss out this process, then maybe you may obtain less marks. Now for verbs, for example, muscles contract and relax. Don't say muscles move. Okay, for example, what is the function of the mitochondrion in the muscle cells? So we say that it is mitochondria in the muscle cells help to provide the energy for muscles to contract, right? The verb, or for contraction of muscles, not for movement of muscles. Okay, so muscle cells have high density or high concentration of mitochondria, okay, to provide energy for contraction of muscles or for the muscles to contract. Now, for example, you want to say that water diffuses into the cells by osmosis when a cell is placed in a hypotonic solution. We cannot say water moves into the cell by osmosis. The word move won't get you the mark. It won't move the examiner to give you the mark. But we use diffuse. That is the specific type of movement. Okay, so it's the correct one. So water diffuses into the cells by osmosis when they are placed in a hypotonic solution. That is why you must have the specific term for it, the keyword. Okay, so recognize the keywords that you need to use to answer the questions, subjective questions. Now adjectives such as large surface area to volume ratio for alveoli, right? Okay, an adaptation of the alveoli is that there's a large number of alveoli in the lungs. Then what is the reason? To provide a large surface area to volume ratio, okay, or large surface area to provide a large surface area for faster diffusion of respiratory gases. Folded inner membrane for mitochondrion, elastic, so this is an adjective to describe the ligament, and non-elastic for tendons. Okay. Now, more heat is trapped in the atmosphere due to increase in human activities. The word more must be there when we are talking about the increase in the global temperature. We'll discuss this in one question later afterwards. Now, if you ask the function of insulin, you cannot just say insulin converts glucose into glycogen. Please remember to add the word excess. So insulin converts the excess glucose in the blood into glycogen. Only the excess glucose, not all the glucose. Right. So in this question, there are many parts. And the first part here, the first question is related to Form 5, Chapter 9, Ecosystem. And specifically, it's about the mangrove swamp. So mangrove swamp is discussed, or the mangrove trees are discussed in two chapters. Chapter 7, Adaptation of plants to live in the habitats, and also Chapter 9. So it's quite important. So we have to know everything about the mangrove trees, right? And the process of succession and colonization. Let's read the question. An ecosystem such as mangrove swamp, as shown in diagram 10.1, can change due to natural phenomena and human activities after a long period of time. These involve colonization and succession. So explain how 3P in the middle zone is replaced, now cancel the word colonize, is replaced by 3Q in the mangrove area. How 3P is replaced by 3Q in the mangrove area. This is 3P and this is 3Q. Okay, so before we go on, let's revise the process of colonization and succession in the mangrove swamp, right? So it's like a story. So once upon a time, you have an empty piece of land at the seashore and also maybe at the riverbank. So the first plants to arrive and colonize the area are called Avicennia species and Sonoratia species, which are two types of mangrove trees, right? So these plants will start to grow on the empty land here, and this process is called colonization, meaning a process whereby the first plants, which are called the pioneer species, these are called the pioneer species, Avicennia and Sonoratia species. So colonization is a process whereby the pioneer species first arrives at an empty habitat, empty piece of land in this case, and starts to grow there. All right. So at first there are no Rhizophora species and Bruguera species plants, only Avicennia and Sonoratia. Okay, then these plants grow and then they produce these vertical roots which are called pneumatophores, vertical breathing roots that help in gaseous exchange. Okay, so it's the root system that traps the dead twigs or stems and mud and dead leaves, all right, and also rubbish that is brought in by the sea. So the root system will trap all these objects or substances, all right, and particles, and thus it will block the water flow also, and also it will cause sedimentation to occur, whereby the sand particles will sink down to the bottom, to the ground here, and stay there. So this will cause the land to become higher and drier. And here we have the keywords, higher and drier. Okay, sedimentation is also a keyword, meaning the sinking down of these sand particles to the bottom of the ground there, so that it will make the land higher and drier. Okay, so keywords are like this. So anyway, after that, the condition of the soil becomes less suitable for the growth of the first the pioneer species, which are Avicennia and Sonoratia species, and become more suitable for the plant called Rhizophora species. So Rhizophora species will succeed and replace the Avicennia and Sonoratia species. Okay, and then Rhizophora itself has a root system which is called the tangled prop roots for support. This for support, so the roots spread out on the ground, all right, like a tripod stand like that. And this will trap rubbish again and twigs and mud, making the land become higher and drier due to sedimentation or sinking down of the particles. And then again, conditions not suitable for Rhizophora species. So because it's too dry, all right, because Rhizophora species prefers a more damp habitat, so it's replaced by Bruguera species, which prefers a drier condition. So Bruguera species will succeed and replace Rhizophora species. And for Bruguera species, it has another type of root system called the buttress root. Okay, so all the names of the roots are written here, right, as revision. So the buttress roots will also trap rubbish also. It's again for support, like it looks like wedges, triangular pieces of roots that stick out from the stem. So this trap rubbish and mud and make the land higher and dry again. So later on, Bruguera species will be replaced by the land plants like Nipa species and the palm tree, and also Pandanus, the pandan tree, pandan plant. Okay, Pandanus species. Right, so here our pioneer species are Avicennia species and Sonoratia species. And then the first successor is Rhizophora species, and the second successor is Bruguera species. Okay, so that ends our revision for colonization and succession in the mangrove swamp. Now let's answer this question. So how does tree P in the middle zone how is it replaced by tree Q? Tree P replaced by tree Q. So first we can state that tree P, in brackets Rhizophora species, it has tangled prop roots. These are the prop roots. Tangled means that's all like intertwined, okay, between each other. So keyword is tangled prop roots. Tree P or Rhizophora species, they have tangled prop roots. And the second keyword is trap the twigs and mud and block the water flow. So this is what the roots do, right? So in that way, you can imagine that there are a lot of things trapped in the roots here. So it causes sedimentation or pemendapan to occur, where the sand particles, the mud particles sink faster to the bottom of the ground and stick there. So this makes the land higher and drier. Riverbank and land higher and drier. So this is the keyword. And less seawater overflows into this area because it's higher already. So the seawater may reach a certain level only, not so high up. Now, so when the land becomes higher and drier, it's no longer suitable, the soil is no longer suitable for growth of tree P, Rhizophora species, more suitable for growth of tree Q, which is Bruguera species, this tree, which prefers drier conditions. So Bruguera species then succeeds and replaces Rhizophora. So the keyword here is succeed. Now the word replace has been used in the question. So if you write the word replace, you won't get the mark because whatever is in the question You just repeat it in your answer. You don't get marks for that. You must put in some new term, and the term is succeed. Okay? Although succession is mentioned at the top here, but here you're applying it to this part here, succeed. You get marks for the word succeed here. Keyword. Okay? Which is not in the question. So, succeeds. Bruguera species succeeds rhizophora species. So any 5 points here to get 5 marks. Okay? So take note of the keywords. Tangled prop roots, trapped twigs and mud, block water flow, faster sedimentation, riverbank higher and drier, soil or land becomes less suitable for growth of 3P, more suitable for 3Q. So the 3P will succeed and replace 3Q will succeed and replace 3P. Or Bruguera species will succeed and replace rhizophora species. Now question 2, also on the mangrove swamp. World Mangrove Day is celebrated on July 26 each year with the aim of raising public awareness on the importance of forest ecosystems to environmental sustainability. Diagram 10.2 shows a poster in conjunction with Mangrove Day requesting the international community to appreciate the mangroves, or the mangrove trees, or mangrove swamp. So here it says, save the mangroves, World Mangrove Day. Now, what are the importances, or what is the importance of preserving the mangrove swamp? What is the importance of preserving the mangrove swamp? 5 marks. Okay, so if you refer back to your textbook on this page, all right, there's a lot that is explained about the importance of mangrove swamp. So it can be asked in the essay question. Now, there are various aspects that we can talk about. So I prefer if you talk about different aspects of it to get the 5 marks, not just focus on one aspect like protection zone only. So try and get different examples of the importance of preserving mangrove swamp. Now let's look at the answer. Firstly, protection zone as a protection zone. The mangrove swamp as a protection zone. So the mangrove swamp is a natural barrier to lessen the impact of strong waves and wind from the sea. And so it protects the coast from erosion and tsunami. So keywords, natural barrier, okay, to lessen impact of strong waves and wind. Or you can just say mangrove swamp protects the coast from erosion. So simple. And from tsunami, which are the big waves that come in from the sea, right? Now, second point, other than protecting the coast from erosion, it also protects the small fishes or shrimp or crabs from predators, because it's a place for the shrimp to hide, the crabs to hide in the root system here. And thirdly, is a preserved area. It can be a preserved area where migratory birds like the stork, okay, and other beautiful birds can fly to these areas to search for food as they are migrating. That means they are flying away from the colder regions in the world, and they may fly to this mangrove swamp to search for food, because mangrove swamp contains a lot of organisms which can provide food for the birds, such as the fish and the shrimp and crabs. Okay, so these are the 3 points. Now, for forestry resources, the mangrove wood from the mangrove trees like Avicennia, Rhizophora, and Bruguera, they can be used to build boats, fish traps, building frames, and to make handicrafts. So my suggestion to you is remember 1 or 2 of these. If you cannot remember all these different objects, remember at least 2. Okay? So save your memory power for other points. Now, mangrove wood, do you know that it is burnt in the big furnace to produce a type of fuel, which is called charcoal. So if you've seen charcoal, which we use in barbecue, is black. Actually, it's burnt mangrove wood. And it can be used as fuel because when you light it up, it can continue to burn and produce a fire, okay, right, for cooking. So remember, the charcoal actually comes from mangrove trees. Okay, I've personally been to one of these mangrove swamps where we saw how charcoal was made in a big furnace, where they put the mangrove wood inside, okay, to burn until it becomes charcoal. Okay, let's go on to other uses of the other points about the importance of mangrove swamp. Okay, continuing on with the importance of the mangrove swamp. It is resource for fishery, right? Because the sea products such as fish, shrimps, crabs, and sea snails are a source of income for fishermen living near the mangrove areas. Okay, so all the keywords are the ones in blue. Sea products, fish, shrimp. At least remember two. Income for fishermen. This is the keyword. So they can sell these fish or shrimps or crabs that they catch to the inhabitants there, okay, to people there, and earn money. Now, wetlands in mangrove areas are conducive for what? Fish rearing. So mangrove swamp is conducive for fish rearing in floating cages, okay, in the sea. So at least remember fish rearing in floating cages. All right. Then mangrove swamp is breeding and nursing ground for various aquatic species. All right. So the mangrove swamp, you see, it has the roots underneath. Some of it's in the sea, and these root systems that are very complex, they help the small fishes to hide there. So when the small fishes are growing there, they can hide among the roots and be safe from predators. So it's a nursing ground for young fishes and young crabs. Okay, and it's also the breeding ground where the fish can breed there, okay, and produce the young there. All right. So remember, mangrove swamp breeding and nursing grounds for aquatic species like fish and shrimps. Now, next, from the aspect of producing food, mangrove swamp can provide food and medicinal resources. For example, the fruit of the Avicennia species is like a vegetable, consumed like a vegetable, like you consume tomatoes, which is a fruit. So Avicennia species has the fruit also, which can be consumed, and the flower can produce honey. So at least remember one, a flower can produce honey, the flower of the Avicennia species. Fruit of Soneratia species used in production of drinks. Okay, fruit of Nipa species, which is a palm, can be eaten, and the water from the fruit can be used in production of vinegar and nira. So the bark of the Bruguera species tree can be used to treat diarrhea, which is in Malay we say cirit birit, right? Where the stomach feels painful, and then there is diarrhea. All right. So another point is we should preserve our natural resources like the mangrove swamps for ecotourism, which can earn money also. All right, where tourists pay to visit the mangrove swamp, and they can also buy the handicrafts from the villagers there and so forth. And it can be used for research also, scientific research. Okay, so all these are the various points that you can write. So choose any 5, but try to pick points from different aspects. Like one about fishery resources, one from food and medicine resources here, and one for the protection zone, okay, and so forth. Right, let's go on to the second question. Environmental threats are caused by human activities in the ecosystem and result in negative impacts on life. The phenomenon of global warming is the result of increased emissions of greenhouse gases into the atmosphere. Diagram 10.3 shows the increase in temperature of the Earth until the year 2000, right? So you can see here that the graph shows that the increase in temperature, right, is increasing, right? So that from year to year, there's a more and more increase in temperature. Now, based on the statement, explain how the greenhouse effect occurs. How the greenhouse effect occurs. So you have to explain step by step. 5 marks. So firstly, we can talk about the cause of the greenhouse effect. What is the cause, the main cause? So as is stated here, environmental threats caused by human activities, right? So we can say that the greenhouse effect occurs due to human activities such as burning of fossil fuels that increase the release of greenhouse gases such as carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, right? So we give an example of the human activity, which is already mentioned here. So if you just write human activity, you won't have any new points, and you cannot obtain a mark for that. So must mention an example of human activity such as burning of fossil fuels like petrol or coal, and this causes carbon dioxide to be released into the atmosphere. Then carbon dioxide is a greenhouse gas. So the concentration of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere will increase. Thus, more heat will be trapped by the gases. such as carbon dioxide, and also other greenhouse gases are methane and nitrogen oxides, which are produced in other ways, all right, through other ways. So next, the next point, so we have to then discuss how the greenhouse effect occurs step by step. So firstly, when sunlight enters the Earth's atmosphere, some of the light will shine on the Earth, so it will be absorbed by the Earth's surface, and this helps to warm up the Earth's surface so that it is conducive for the survival of organisms. It provides the warmth to organisms. Then, however, some light is reflected back from the Earth into the atmosphere. It's not absorbed by the Earth, some of the light. So this light that is reflected back to the atmosphere is reflected as infrared rays, which also contains heat. Okay. Right, next, P5, the reflected rays and heat are absorbed and trapped by greenhouse gases such as carbon dioxide, methane, nitrogen oxide, CFC in the atmosphere. So when you see the slash sign or the stroke sign like this, it means all. That means they will accept any of these gases if you just mention one. Okay, so I suggest you mention carbon dioxide and methane is enough in your answer here. And the main point is the reflected rays and heat are absorbed and trapped by the greenhouse gases. As we can see in this picture here, taken from my video on environmental sustainability, climate change. So just now we discussed already, the sunlight enters the Earth's atmosphere, and then some of the light and the heat is absorbed by the Earth, which warms up the Earth for survival of organisms, right? But some of the light is reflected back from the Earth into the atmosphere as infrared rays, right? And then the reflected rays and the heat are absorbed and trapped by this layer of greenhouse gases. And the greenhouse gases, the concentration of the greenhouse gases has increased due to human activities. Okay, so more infrared rays and heat are absorbed and trapped by the greenhouse gases, which are at a higher concentration. Okay, because the concentration of the greenhouse gases increase through human activities, right? So thus the infrared rays are prevented from being reflected back into space. In fact, after the heat is trapped by the greenhouse gases, some of the infrared rays are re-emitted back to Earth, which further causes increase in the global temperature. Right, so conclusion, human activities have caused the increase in concentration of the greenhouse gases, thus more heat is trapped in the atmosphere. And this causes the Earth's temperature to rise, which is the greenhouse effect. So this first part here has been mentioned in your at the beginning of your answer, so you won't get any more marks if you repeat it, okay? All right, but then you have a lot of points already, from P1 to P6, all right? And then you have 1E here, which is we are explaining at the beginning the cause of the greenhouse effect. That one must be it's compulsory, caused by human activities such as burning of fossil fuels. So 1E plus 4 P's equals to 5 marks, any 4 P's. But I can write down all the P's, okay? So now we come to the last part of the question about green building. So the green building topic is quite important as it is a new topic in the new syllabus compared to the old syllabus, right? So we must know the characteristics of a green building, okay? And this is important for SPM, can come out in the essay section this year or in other years, okay? Right, so let's read the question. Green building is a building concept which has the characteristics of nature-friendly technology. Diagram 10.3 are two examples of green buildings found in Malaysia. Now explain what qualifies a building to be recognized as a green building. 5 marks, right? Now in other words, now read the question a few times now. What qualifies a building to be recognized as a green building? That means you are asked for the characteristics of a building that helps it to be recognized or called a green building. So what are the characteristics of a green building? In other words, what are the characteristics of a green building? Okay, so to start off, firstly, we must know that the green building is a building concept that has characteristics of nature-friendly technology. Now, this is taken from the textbook, this phrase. So if you write it in again in your answer, there are no marks given for this, for your answer. You write it into the answer. So elaborate on the meaning of nature-friendly technology. Okay, and so here it is, also from the textbook. The main purpose of the green building concept is efficient use of natural resources such as energy, water, and materials. All right, so the main point here is the efficient use of natural resources in the green building. Resources such as energy, like electrical energy. So the green building will try to save on the consumption of electrical energy, right? Electrical energy consumption, water consumption, and also in the use of materials to build the green building. It will save on the use of materials, and it will also ensure that materials used do not harm the health of humans. Okay, right. So let's look at the characteristics of a green building, right? So firstly, in terms of the efficient use of water, first point is water catchment systems are used in the green building to collect rainwater to be used for watering plants and for cleaning of toilets. For example, the rainwater is collected sometimes on the roof, and it will flow through the gutter into a tank, okay, a storage tank, where there is a tap below for you to switch on to allow the rainwater to flow out, so that you can water the plants with it, and can be used to clean toilets. Okay, so this will save on water consumption, right? And then secondly, in terms of efficient use of energy, the green building can have solar panels on the rooftop to absorb light energy from the sun, and then this solar panel will convert the solar energy or light energy into electrical energy for lighting inside the building, right? And to power devices in the building. So this will encourage the usage of renewable energy resources such as solar energy, which can be used over and over again and will not be depleted, right? So in this way, we can also save on the usage of electrical energy in the building, and also reduce the burning of fossil fuels, which is usually used to generate electrical energy, right? It will reduce the use of fossil fuels, the burning of fossil fuels. So this can reduce air pollution. Now, the third point is that the green building can have a herb garden or a green area where plants are grown to reduce the heat island effect, so that the area is cooler, and also the green plants can produce oxygen for cellular respiration. So the air will be also fresher, and it will also be able to improve the health of humans in that area. Okay, so herb garden, the herbs there can be collected and used in cooking, right? Now, the fourth point is that the green building will use energy efficient lights such as the light emitting diode bulbs, okay, to save on energy consumption, right? Now, next point, in the construction of the building, there will be the use of very low levels of volatile organic compounds, or VOC, such as paints, adhesives, and other organic substances that can release toxic substances, such as formaldehyde, into the air, which can cause health problems in humans. Okay, so you try to cut down on the use of these substances which are not so good, because it releases fumes in the air, okay, which can negatively affect the health of humans. So this will help to provide clean and fresh air inside the building, right? Now, next, use recycled materials to reduce the use of raw materials. So green building will use recycled materials as far as possible to cut down on the use of raw materials like wood and so forth. Then, seventh point, during the construction of the green building, the construction materials used will be taken from a place not too far from the project site, so as to save on transportation. So there's less transportation, to reduce the transportation, and also save energy, uh, or reduce the burning of fossil fuels like petrol, okay, to transport these substances to the project site. Then this will help to reduce air pollution too, because there will be less burning of petrol or diesel, and this will reduce the air pollution, which is caused by the burning of fossil fuels. So the last point is openings are designed to increase air ventilation and ensure maximum sunlight into spaces. So these openings are like the doors and windows. So they are designed to increase air ventilation in the building for healthier, uh, for better respiration, and to ensure maximum sunlight into the spaces, because sunlight is important for the health of organisms, okay, in helping humans to synthesize vitamin D, and also it can kill the pathogens in the building itself also. So a bright and well ventilated room, okay, or area, okay, this will be the aim of the green building. Right, so altogether here there are 8 points about the characteristics of green building. So maybe the essay question may be worth more than 5 marks. It could be 8 marks. If it's 8 marks, then you try to give the 8 points altogether, plus the first point, which is the F1, which is the fact. But for here it's 5 marks, so it's F1, 1 F1 plus 4 E's here, to give you 5 marks. So always write more than the 4 E's. Write more of these explanations. E is for explanation, right? So that you will be able to ensure you get the maximum number of marks, in case some of the points may have some mistakes in them, right? Now, apart from the characteristics of a green building, we also have to be able to list 3 advantages of a green building. 3 marks here. So this question may be asked. So firstly, a green building reduces negative effects towards human health that is caused by development. For example, the green building will have very good air ventilation to provide fresh air that has more oxygen, and it has a green area where plants are grown also to provide the oxygen, and then for cellular respiration, oxygen for cellular respiration. Also, it will the building will have a lower concentration of toxic gases such as formaldehyde, because we are using formaldehyde-free materials. Formaldehyde-free materials. So green building also reduces negative effects towards the environment due to construction activities. For example, during the construction of the green building, the materials are sourced from places that are nearby, so that there's less transportation and less burning of fossil fuels, so it will cause less air pollution. Lastly, the green building reduces the cost of operation, maintenance, and construction of the building. For example, it reduces the cost of maintenance because of the use of solar panels to obtain electricity through the absorption of sunlight. So the solar energy is converted to electrical energy, okay, for use in the building, right? And then rainwater is used to wash toilets and also water the plants. So this will also save or reduce the water consumption, right? So in this way, it will reduce the cost of maintenance of the building, right? So that's all for this lesson. Do share, like, and subscribe, and thanks for watching. All the best for your SPM, Biology SPM examination. Thank you and goodbye.